There's only one way to get ready for tonight's session, and to beat them, you gotta play like them.
Just call. Blame the dealer. Blame the dealer. Call. 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 Allin. Who's action on? Tommy? Call. To be quite honest, when I started this challenge, I was like, yo, this is about to be a breeze. Pretty much went in, locked up to 10K in my mind and was like, this is gonna be slight work. After running into the OMCs that I have, nah, they slapped me in the face. They bitch slapped me, really, and deservedly so. Cockiness and the inability to change the way I play is literally the biggest factor as to why I'm losing. And obviously, emotional instability, to be fair. I'm gonna figure it out. I'm gonna get better. We need to win badly. We just do. So if that means I drop down a 50 cent a dollar and get a win or whatever, bankroll management. I have literally 2 buy-ins and a little bit of change for the 2-3 game. Let's say we go play some 2-3 and book a win. I like the sound of that. All right, now let me know one last thing. What are your thoughts on broccoli?
After getting our training in, we feel nice and warm. We head over to the bicycle casino, to which we find out that the 2-3 list is longer than Santa's naughty list. Well, I decide to make the big boy decision and put my bankroll literally on the table. I sit down at 5-5 with $680 to my name, and that's what we're gonna go ahead and do. Before I can even get my chips, before I even get my camera out to record, the dealer asked me if I'd like to get dealt in. The answer to this question for me is always yes, and I am freaking happy I did. Under the gun OMC limps for $5. The action's on me now in the +2 position. We look down at freaking pocket aces, pocket rockets. This is a match made in heaven. An aggressive donkey like me with a good hand should be literally illegal. I make it $30 to go, and the action gets back to the OMC. At this point, I'm just praying he goes along with the hand. My biggest fear is that I made it a little too big and he just folds, but he unfortunately doesn't call. But he goes all in for $270. We have the easiest decision of our lives. We go ahead and make the snap call. The flop comes out Queen 9-7, a little worrisome, and the turn card comes at 3 of diamonds, and the river card comes out the deuce of spades. Looks like we're only losing 1 realistic hand here, and when our opponent proudly flips over 2 face cards, luckily for us, it's pocket jiggities, pocket jacks. Holy freaking smokes. We take down a pretty decent little pot here for morale, nice and early. Let's go. Heading over to the second important hand of this session, there are 2 early position limps. I decide to isolate to $40. The next to act player cold calls. Shout out to him. He's a friend of the vlog, Mr. Reggie. He goes by Reggie Jackson in the streets. 2 of the limpers call, and we're going off to a flop here where we flop ourselves a gutter ball and not much else. The action checks to me. Although we're 4 ways and this is a disaster board of c-bet, we don't even have a backdoor draw outside of what that gutter ball looks like. I'm just thinking like, hey, we can have ace king. We can have kings. Let's bet. I make it 75. Only 1 limper calls. We're heads up to a turn card that's an 8 of clubs. Brings a backdoor flush draw here. When the action checks over to me, seems like I'm going to go ahead and continue along with this bluff. I make it 110. Our opponent snap calls, and considering our player type, I'm pretty confident at this point that my opponent either has a really weak middling hand, a middling pair of some sort, or a draw. When the river card comes out the 5 of diamonds, none of the obvious draws get there. I mean, maybe if my opponent has a hand like, what, 6-9, I guess it gets there. But outside of that, the flush draws miss, the straight draws miss, and I'm going to put my opponent to the test. When he checks it over to me, I got to go for it. I didn't get all this way to frickin' be a little kitty cat. I'm going to go for it, baby. I go for $230 bet here, and our opponent snap folds. Let's go. This is the perfect start to the session. Within a matter of minutes, I have somehow turned my $680 to just shy of $1,000. We're absolutely loving life. At this point, the only way is up. Remember, if I somehow go busto, I promise you, and I promise everyone that I love, I'm gonna quit poker. But before I do, I'm gonna teach you folks at least one beautiful critical lesson, and that's how to play pocket jacks. Under the gun makes it $20 when he gets 3 callers. Action's on me in the small blind, and from the small blind, I feel like if we're gonna be playing any hands, we're gonna wanna be the aggressor. The small blind is literally the worst position in poker, so we've gotta make up for that fact. I make it $145 to go, going fairly large here and looking to get my opponents to either respect my raise or I'm gonna teach them how to respect my raise. Luckily for me, everyone folds, so that's how you play pocket jacks.
Hey everybody.
Hey everyone. Sorry to interrupt today's video, but there's something important that I kind of need to talk to you guys about. What can it be? I'm doing the Close to Broke road trip that I'm unbelievably excited about. I'm gonna be going from California all the way to the East Coast in Rhode Island. So if you guys are interested in me coming and joining your either home game or your favorite casino to play at, I'm gonna need you guys' help. I don't know where the hell I'm going halfway through this series, and the only way I can make this itinerary and set it in stone is with your help. The way you can get a hold of me is by DMing me on Instagram. Go over there, follow me, let me know where I should play. And as I get together my itinerary, we can talk about where I can stop. So I'll either come over there, hang out with you guys in your home game, or go to your favorite casinos that you guys recommend. Secondly, throughout that entire road trip, I'm going to be playing on Club GG, Splash Squads, the safest and the best action that you'll ever find online. You can play from the United States, which is insane. Deposits and all that stuff is handled very smoothly. So if you guys are interested in that at all, check out the link at the top of the description. Again, the Splash Squads, all your favorite poker vloggers are on there as well. So if you want to play with me now, today, literally this second when you're watching this video, I'll probably be playing with the handle Close to Broke. You can't miss me. Outside of that, I'll see you guys on the Close to Broke road trip. I'm super excited about it. Be ready for it at the end of March. Let's go. Holy shit, I'm playing poker. I forgot about that. We got to go back to the bike.
In this following hand, I look down at King Queen of Spades from early position. I make it $20 to go. Next to act calls, and so does the big blind. We're going to a flop here that comes out not very great. It comes out 7-3 deuce. The one thing I'll mention is that the burn card that was exposed was a 7, making it a little less likely for my opponents to have that top pair, and I guess in turn it also makes me less likely to have top pair, but hey, with the information given to me, I'm going to go ahead and make a not usually recommended continuation bet for $30. The big blind calls, and when the turn card comes out, the perfect, miraculous, the gin card of all shin cards, Queen of Clubs, it looks like when our opponent checks to me, we've got to continue to bet for value. I go ahead and bet 75, and my opponent snap calls once again. Same thing he did earlier with that weak holding. When the river card comes out the 10 of hearts, it doesn't change much. When he checks it to me, I decide to bet 135, and he decides to snap fold. Once again, picking up these very important pots, crucial even at this point in this bankroll challenge. There's quite a few limps, and the action gets to me in the small blind. When I look down at the offsuit Jack 8, I decide to check my option, and so does the big blind. The flop comes out giving us an open-ended straight draw. We're still running hot. Early position bets 15, middle position calls, and I call as well. 3 ways to a turn card that comes out the deuce of hearts, bringing that backdoor flush draw. Early position now bets for 40. The middle position player and I call once again. The river card comes out the 7 of hearts. Very good, to say the least. We now get there. The only problem is it's going to be really hard for me to get value on a card this dynamic, so I just leave the bidding to my opponents. I check it over to the late position OMC player, who decides to bet for $115. Annoying spot here because he's never bluffing, so now the question becomes, can I really beat any value? The answer to that question is, God knows, so I just flick in the call because I'm not good enough to fold, and the early position player begrudgingly folds as well. Our opponent shows the nuts for the ace-5 of hearts, and I should have known better. Oh yeah, and the saying goes, never go broke in a limped pot. That's what it was. The straddle is on for this next hand. When the button and the small blind limp, I'm in the big blind with the king deuce of hearts here. Suited king, it's not that great to be quite fair, but considering the dynamics of the table so far, people have been A, respecting my raises for the most part, and B, I've been showing down pretty reasonable hands. I haven't been caught with my hand in the cookie jar with these bluffs yet, so let's make it 50. The button calls, and we're going heads up to a flop that's not very good. With the betting lead on me, I decide to continue for a bet of $40. Our opponent snap calls, and the turn card comes out the deuce of spades. Now we have some showdown value, albeit not that much, but not enough to continue bloating the size of the pots, so I just check it, and my opponent checks it back. The river card comes out the 6 of diamonds, and once again, I feel like my opponent is fairly weak, but to be quite fair, it's just hard to throw out a bet here, even if our opponent's weak. I've put quite a few bluffs together today, and I don't feel like my credit's going to be all that great. And if I get looked up and people see my hand right now, it won't look that great either. So I just checked to give up, and man, I wish I didn't. My opponent shows 4-5 offsuit for calling my pretty big isolation raise with the old 4-5 off. Ugh, good hand to you, sir, and I guess I can't blame him. There's no way you can fold a natural line. When I tell you I saved the best for last, I really mean it. There's a couple of limps, and once again, I'm in the big blind and I'm left with the bidding for the isolation, so I make it $55 to go with King 9 offsuit. I don't know what it is with this freaking hand, but I just freaking love it. K9, whatever you want to call it. It's a horrible hand. It doesn't play that well multi-way. It surely doesn't play that well out of position heads up, but here I am. Heads up, out of position, to a player that's not looking to fold, and even less so when the flop comes out 8-7 deuce. I throw out a bet for 40, knowing that I'm probably throwing it into the abyss, and my opponent calls. When the turn card comes to 3 of clubs, it brings a backdoor flush draw, but once again, if I had aces, kings, or queens, I'd probably continue betting, so I make it 75. My opponent didn't even let me finish betting. He just was like, yeah, call, fuck you. All right, pal. When the river card comes out the king of spades, who's a real fool now, buddy? Because it surely as hell ain't me. Not anymore. Not after that card. I think the easy decision here is just to check it and probably win. But this is what I was talking about earlier. This is what all that training had led me to. This moment right here. My opponent has like 8-9 suited. My opponent has like 10-8 suited, pocket 9s, pocket 10s, one of these really random hands that is obviously worse than kings. He thinks I'm full of shit. He's even mentioned it a couple times. There's no way he's going to put me on a king. I got lucky on the river. I need to get the most money possible. I bet 215. Our opponent hims and haws for a few moments before throwing in the call. I flip over my cards, and surely in fact they are good. Really thin value on the river, but man, oh man, I cannot describe, I can't put into words how much it means to me to finally string along a reasonable session of poker. That was fun.
Hello. What's up, everyone? I'm going to lay down on this couch and talk to you guys a little bit. So, I have won some pretty big pots in my life. I've been lucky enough to say that. I've also lost some really big pots. I've lost 5 figures in a poker session. I've lost 5-figure pots in a poker session. But something about this series is really challenging and significantly more painful than anything I can remember in recent history. At least it's poker related. I think the reason is because I feel like I somehow have this stupid preconceived notion that I obviously just get to win. And that's the furthest thing from the truth. Let me tell you, nobody plays as you expect them. They have their own little style, and it works for them. And here I am, a little fish in this big pond, getting absolutely whacked up. Today was a turning point though. And obviously we got a little lucky on that king of river, the king on the river on that hand. But for us to go for max value there, I think we're turning a leaf, y'all. I think the horrible attitude that I entered this series with, thinking that somehow I was just gonna run over the game, that's the furthest thing from the truth. I've got to learn from my opponents. I've got to adapt to my opponents. And we got to find a way to win. I'm gonna have dinner. See you guys in the next episode.
Come over here. Come over here. Come on. Oh my goodness. I love you. I love you, girl.
Have a nice day, everybody.